years ago, we had a big sheikh from Egypt coming for a visit. And we had the same problem like you, children running to the masjid. So we asked the sheikh, what should we do? He gave us advice. He said, the Prophet was his grandsons. They used this and that, and let them play, let them grow up in the masjid. While he's making sujood, one of the kids took the microphone bar and hit the sheikh on his head. And then after the salah, he said like, no, I take back what I said. This kid should not be in the masjid. By the way, having a big bump here. Bismillah ar-Rahman. In my way here, one of my younger brothers in the halaqah, he got engaged. And he's asking me, he said like, I need advices before I start. I want to know exactly what to do in the engagement period and after and so on. I want to establish my home in the right way. I answered him. I'll give you my answer at the end of this short talk. But I want to go over one ayah with my brothers, inshallah, my sister, if they are listening. The ayah says, أَفَمَنْ أَسَّسَ بُنْيَانَهُ عَلَى تَقْوَى مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرِضْوَانٍ خَيْرٌ أَمْ مَنْ أَسَّسَ بُنْيَانَهُ عَلَى شَفَا جُرُفٍ هَارٍ فَانْهَارَ بِهِ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. This ayah to me is extremely important, extremely scary too. The ayah says, every one of us will establish certain buildings in his life. Your marriage life is a building. Your career is a building. Your business is a building. Because you're like, I'm building my business. I'm building a career. Or I'm establishing a practice. Everything is building. So, in our life, each one of us, especially those who are in my age bracket, they already established few buildings. What is my intellectual building? What's my marriage building? What is my business building? What's my social building? And all these buildings, we do it non-stop in our life. Even little kids, they say like, I have a project to construct, to build a plane, to build whatever it is. Everyone in our life is building something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this, you build. There's two kinds of building, depends on the so-called assasa. Assasa means founded, asas. And for those of you who are Egyptians, 3 big buildings in Alexandria collapsed. Why? Because the asas is wrong. The foundation, asas foundation is extremely wrong. Cheating or whatever it is, or out of proportion, or name it. So, what is the asas that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you establish any of this building in your life, you are in a safe way, you are on a safe side, you're fine. It's one asas that Allah accepts. And the sad thing is, any other foundation, they said, it will take you straight forward to hell. Any other foundation, except this asas, this foundation that I'm going to tell you right now, take the person and his endeavor in this life, all his activity, all what he has built in his life is straightforward to hell. This asas or this foundation is Taqwa min Allahi wa ridwan. Taqwa min Allahi wa ridwan. You call it piety, you call it fear of Allah, you call it fear based on love. Taqwa, every sheikh is all the time explaining what taqwa means to his community. We know what taqwa means. Taqwa is not something that you buy or you order it. It's something that develops in the heart. Like, you would never be able to pay $1 million to buy 1 gallon of taqwa. No, taqwa is something that will develop in your heart based on certain things that we'll talk about in a few minutes. One day I was watching the news, and there was one guy, big shot, driving over the highway, and there was like heavy rain and mudslide in California. And while he's driving on the highway, he saw his house coming in the other direction. His house was sliding in the other direction. And he said that the foundation under this beautiful mansion was sandy, was not rock, it was not strong. So when the mudslide came in, he met his house in the way back to his house. Actually, his house got closer, so he doesn't have to drive far. And then the foundation is extremely important. Some of us will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with very little activity, but he's going to paradise. Allah accepted him. His foundation is in his thinking is fine. Allah is happy with it. And some, like the Prophet said that in the Day of Judgment, someone will come that he spent so much money for the sake of Allah. And someone had already taught people and he learned and he gave speeches and he taught people and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throw him in hell. He did it for people to say he is wrong foundation, wrong assess. And this is the way it is. There is only one assess, one foundation that Allah accepts. Taqwa min Allahi wa ridwan. Taqwa min Allahi wa ridwan. Each one of us should ask himself. Some of us are 50, some 60, some 40, some 18. The 18 one is going to build my education building, and the other one that graduated my career building, and one I want to build my house, my wife, my children, relatives, and even the one that's my age bracket. I want to build the last establishment before I leave. I want to build something at the end of my life, right? So everyone is building something, right? And astaghfirullah, if we are not going to wake up and wise up in this particular days before we leave, it will be a very dreadful end. Why? Because Allah said, I will not accept any asas, any foundation, except if it was for taqwa. Anything else, it doesn't register. It doesn't mean anything. He said like, oh, but Ya Rabbi, it's half and half. You know, Allah doesn't accept half and half. If you want whatever you want to do to be acceptable, and you want to see your bliss in paradise, then establish your activity based on taqwa Allah. Other than this is not worth it. I'm going to give you a story of one woman that to me is the smartest woman in the history. And this woman, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her as an example of the great believers. He said that وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Allah gave example for those who are good, pious, practicing believers. Two women. And I don't want you to be offended, he didn't mention any men. Two women. The first one is Fir'aun's wife. Fir'aun's wife, what is the big deal about her? She was living in a palace. She was living, and if you visited the area of Aswan in Egypt, that's where Fir'aun lived. And the Nile is running underneath, and the palace was so huge. And if you want to know how good things were, his grave was a pyramid. Right? So here everything is so beautiful. Everything is going for her. And here she has servants, she has had everything. And she, in the palace, she asking Allah, Rabbi, ibnili, build. Now she's looking for building now. Ibnili indaka bayta. She did not ask for a palace. She said, bayta. I just want a bayt, a house, little thing. Where? Fil Jannah, in the paradise. وَنَجِّنِي, and save me from Fir'aun, Pharaoh, and his actions and his deeds. Right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put her as the highest example of a woman, of a believer, men or women. Sheikh, when I'm 15 minutes away from the end, give me a signal. So, now, the example of the greatest believer existing was a woman. Who? Fir'aun's wife. Think of it. We are living in materialistic societies, right? Most of us did not see, some of us did see the spirituality of a small village in overseas, wherever it is. But most of the brothers grew up in a materialistic society. طيب, Fir'aun's wife grew up in a very materialistic society. Servants, everything you name it. But all this did not deceive her from reality. Reality is, I'm looking forward for a small house in your paradise. This all doesn't mean anything. And look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Fir'aun is still among us. You know what he is? He is in the museum in Tahrir Square, in a nice big box with glass top, and every time I go visit Egypt, I visit him. Not because I like him, because you have to learn. You have to look at this guy who said, أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. There is no God, there is no ilah for you except me. And I believe that any kid that comes through that, we should take his father and put his father out and leave the kids be. Now, talk about the father. So, these are the building that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَسَّسَ بُنْيَانَهُ عَلَى تَقْوَى. You establish your bunyan, your home, your building in this life, whatever, how many buildings you want, on one word. Taqwa min Allah wa Radwan. We are in a month. And this month, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, like, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُم. This fasting has been mandatory, not only to the Muslims, to any previous nation. And the purpose, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. So you will develop taqwa. And alhamdulillah, all of us fasting. Alhamdulillah, all of us wising up and learning how to control. And here's the whole trick. The trick is how to control. How to control desires, how to control. And once you get your power or desires under control, you're fine, right? You can take care of this today, inshallah, the whole year. You can do that, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, like, I'm going to make your life easy. I'm going to give you the foundation I have. The biggest building for us as Muslims is Islam. Islam is a building. And he has asas. Bunya al-Islam ala khams. Our building is Islam, because we are not someone who goes to the masjid Friday and that's it. No, we are a way of life, as you all know. So our building is Islam. What is the foundation? What is the asas? Is 5 things. You all memorize it, correct? La ilaha illallah, Sawm, Salah, Zakah, Hajj, right? Like, all of them, this is a mixture. This is a mixture. Like any asas, materialistic foundation, you use cement, gravel, sand, additives, and water, and some steel rod, and you have the concrete slab for the foundation, correct? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, like, these are my 5. But you don't throw sand like that. No, you mix them together. So in Ramadan, we're mixing. In Ramadan, we have fasting, we have salah, we have zakah, everything in Ramadan. And this is the greatness of this month. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that, I will help you, because this is my gift for you. I will help you for achieving that taqwa by what? I'm going to hold a few things for you. I'm going to change the shaitan, as you all know. I'm going to give you anything that you do in this month is going to be 70 times as much. Everything is. So he gives us an incentive and control certain elements against us, which is the shaitan, for example. But the one he didn't control is the nafs. So he said, like, now you take care of the nafs. You work on the nafs yourself. If you want to achieve piety or taqwa, then work on the nafs. And here's what we're doing now in this month. We are working on the nafs. We want to achieve taqwa. And you know what? The other incentive is, in a couple of weeks, inshallah, we'll have Laylatul Qadr. Maybe before that. But if you want to get ready to get this taqwa and get the big reward at the end of the year, at the end of the month, by saying, stand, عتق من النار, forgiving, مغفرة, عتق من النار. If you want to be saved, then don't say, Wallahi, 25% of Ramadan is gone and I didn't do that much. No, don't be negative, don't be passive. Say, I have 75% of Ramadan ahead and I can do much better. Whatever little bugs in my system that took place in the first week, inshallah, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to work to achieve this taqwa. So my advice to myself and my brothers and the sisters, the precious moments that's left should be dealt as precious. Wallahi, none of us is guaranteed to have another Ramadan. And I leave you with this. These two brothers that became Muslim in the first year after the Prophet immigrated to Medina, two blood brothers. One of them was exceptionally wonderful Muslim, but he died first. A year later, his brother died. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud saw both of them in that dream. He saw the one that was outstanding in a lower place in the paradise, and the other guy who was average in a higher place. He went to the Prophet and said, Prophet of Allah, I saw something strange tonight. I saw a dream that is hard to explain. I saw the one that was outstanding in a lower place than the one that was average. The Prophet told him, don't you know that he witnessed another Ramadan? Don't you know that he witnessed? Wallahi, I want myself and my brothers to deal with this 3 weeks left as our last Ramadan. I hope that Allah will give us many Ramadans to go, inshallah. But if He doesn't, at least we have 3 weeks left. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help all of us take advantage of every minute, not every hour or every day, every minute of this month. Dhikr, istighfar, asking Allah to tie our hearts to Him. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وأقول مستغفرين.
تكبير. الله أكبر.